A very good afternoon to you from Hill Dickinson Stadium, home of Everton. You are with BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra 2 for live commentary from the Premier League. Everton taking on Brentford, two sides enjoying good Premier League seasons, and they'll hope to start the new year in the same fashion they ended it, with two sides in decent nick. Everton, who ended a run of 3 games without a win, with a very impressive 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest at the City Ground. Brentford on a 4-match unbeaten run. More wins at this stage of a Premier League season than ever before in their history. And both sides looking to see if they can trouble the European stages come the end of the season. Still plenty of time between now and then. Baltic in Liverpool as it is up and down the country, but a beautifully crisp afternoon, the blue sky, few patches of white cloud, a little bit of sleety snow in the air, certainly pre-match, and there is a little bit in the forecast later on, but for now it is nice and clear. Z cars not too far from being played, you can hear the sirens, so the team's gathering in the tunnel, several ground staff poking at a very good looking pitch, and fans taking their seats and hoping for an entertaining game of football, as is former Scotland captain Rachel Corsie alongside. Rachel, hello and Happy New Year.
Hi Chris, Happy New Year.
This is a game that I think if you were to ask most, they wouldn't say goal fest, but still, given the relative comfort of both in the table, you'd like to think, with no real pressure on them at the moment, we'll get a good game.
I hope so, and I think because the table is so tight, when I was looking at this, you sort of realise, wow, this is actually probably a game that for either one of these sides to take 3 points, it really puts them in a position where you start to think, that Europe potentially in the second half of the season can be probably a target that you can reasonably go after, expect, not necessarily, but certainly go after, and I think it'll be very competitive, and I'd like to think both teams will fancy their chances.
Everton 9th in the Premier League, Brentford 10th and just a point behind. Here come the two sides. This is our first visit to this new stadium. I'm not sure when a stadium loses its new moniker, but still feels very fresh out of the box, and it is a very impressive arena. The referee is Anthony Taylor. He picks up the yellow football from the plinth, and the two sides heading out of the tunnel, led by the two captains, James Tarkowski for Everton and Nathan Collins for Brentford. They'll line up just in front of the Premier League structure that has the lion in the centre with a crown on top of its mane. The badges of Brentford and Everton. The Premier League anthem will play. We'll get the usual hand slaps. So an opportune time to run you through the two sides. And for Everton, who have really been hit by injuries, and several players at AFCON are boosted by the return of Jack Grealish to the starting lineup after he recovered from illness. There's plenty of it going around. One of two changes for Everton from that 2-0 win against Nottingham Forest. Michael Keane also returns to the defence. Nathan Patterson and Merlin Ruhl are the two that dropped to the bench. So Jordan Pickford, the goalkeeper, Jake O'Brien, Michael Keane, James Tarkowski and Vitaly Mikalenko, the back four. James Garner, Tim Irabunum in the midfield, with Dwight McNeil, Jack Grealish, Tyler Dibbling and Tierno Barry leading the line for Everton. 3 changes for Brentford from a goalless draw against Tottenham. Aaron Hickey, Matthias Jensen and Mikkel Damsgaard are in. Rico Henry, Jordan Henderson and Keane Lewis Potter, the 3 to make way. Queven Kelleher, the goalkeeper, Michael Coyote, Nathan Collins, Christopher Ayer and Aaron Hickey. Vitaly Janelt, Matthias Jensen behind Matthias Damsgaard, Vitaly Yarmolyuk, Kevin Schade and Igor Thiago. Rachel, for Everton, their problems have been apparent throughout the season. I say their problems, it's with a small p because they're performing very well. Goals, Tierno Barry and Beto, the much maligned pair. There's no Kiernan Dewsbury Hall injured. There's no Iliman and Jai, who's got plenty of Everton's goals. There's a reliance on Jack Grealish back in this starting 11, and there's the hope that after scoring against Forest that Tierno Barry can get some kind of form going.
Yeah, I think it's fair for Tierno Barry. It's not been the dream start for him, but equally I think you can see he's got a work rate that you sort of hope that, as you say, that goal he scored, can that just be the moment that sparks a bit of run of form, and probably for Beto as well. He's been at the club a little longer and probably hasn't quite won the fans over, and I think that position for Everton is maybe a question mark this window. I think that the fans potentially asking for, can we go and find someone that maybe is a little more renowned for being more prolific, but equally they have been a lot more attacking this season in that area of the pitch.
Players gathering round the centre circle before kick-off. We will have a minute's reflection to remember those Everton fans that have sadly lost their lives in 2025.
To remember those members of the Everton family who we lost over the past 12 months. With a minute's pause, which will start with the sound of the referee's whistle.
A classy touch from a classy football club. Everton remembers the words on the two giant screens at either end of this stadium. The pictures of those loved lost ones on the screens as well, and the names cycling through. Brentford in a huddle away to our left. Everton already in formation order. The first home game for Everton of 2026. This time last year there were relegation concerns. Sean Dyche was to lose his job a couple of weeks later. David Moyes comes in, steadies the ship, and now the ambitions are loftier than merely survival. There is the hope this Everton side can at least finish in the top half of the table and maybe trouble the European places. It does feel like Everton are in survival mode currently, though, with the number of players absent through injury or to AFCON. But they performed very well against Nottingham Forest. David Moyes called it one of his best wins as Everton manager, considering the players they lost. Brentford under Keith Andrews, there would have been plenty of scepticism prior to his arrival. I say arrival, he was already at the club prior to his appointment as manager, given the work Thomas Frank has done. But Keith Andrews, very impressive for Brentford, who, like Everton, are also looking for a top half finish. Brentford in their red and white home kit swing the first ball of the game into the penalty area in the direction of Damsgaard, comfortably cleared, and Jordan Pickford will have this goal kick. Brentford red and white stripes, black shorts and black socks. Everton in blue, white and blue. Everton going from right to left in this first half. Brentford from left to right on a busy day of Premier League football, with games at Fulham, Newcastle and Tottenham getting underway. I say getting underway, there's actually a 15-minute delay to kick off at Craven Cottage, so Fulham-Liverpool will be getting underway at 3:15. That game is live over on BBC Radio 5 Live when it gets underway. Newcastle Palace, Tottenham-Sunderland. Tottenham-Sunderland on Sports Extra, Newcastle-Crystal Palace on Sports Extra 3. And here on Sports Extra 2, it is Everton building on their left-hand side. Jensen runs into Garner, and that'll be a throw to Everton, which they take quickly, looking for the run of Barry. Collins deals with that, and Coyote will complete the clearance. What sort of game are you anticipating, Rachel? What kind of start do you think we'll get?
Well, I mean, both teams, Brentford, I think, have probably started with a little more of the ball, you'd say, but I think both teams will want to dominate in terms of possession, just trying to work out a little adjustment, I think, to Brentford's shape. I think Jensen will probably play on this right-hand side, it looks like, which won't be totally natural for him. Obviously Damsgaard's come in and he is obviously dangerous in that 10 position and does carry a great threat from there. But Everton will press from the front. You know, they're at home, there's an expectation, first game of the year. That intensity piece in this opening 5 minutes will be key.
It's the sort of intensity Everton fans will demand. The returning Jack Grealish heading towards the corner flag near side the left, digs some form of cross out that Caoimhin Kelleher was always favourite to collect in front of Barry. Collect he does, and he gets the unsurprising boos from the Everton fans, given his connections across the city. And if you think these boos are loud, you wait until, if he does come on, Jordan Henderson makes his appearance. He's on the bench. When he does come on, it'll be career appearance number 450, the majority of those across the city for Liverpool, but he is on the bench this afternoon. Brentford building slowly in these early stages, 2.5 minutes played. Kelleher, who's all in pink from head to toe, can just about make out his blonde hair from our very lofty vantage point in this new stadium. Back to Kelleher it goes. And this could be the pattern of the game, Rachel, with Brentford quite happy to keep hold of the ball at the back, and it's the onus on Everton to high press and try and win it back.
Absolutely, and very calm and composed in possession. And sometimes, though, that can be the danger. We've seen teams, especially in the last couple of days, mistakes are high, fatigue sets in, you can give teams a chance. Arsenal being one of those yesterday.
Yeah, it's a fair point, the number of games that players get through over the festive period. Here's Irabunum, edge of the penalty area, attacking Brentford's box. Now Grealish taking up a position on the left-hand angle. McNeil will swing this in to a vacant back post area. No one really there to threaten. O'Brien will try and put pressure on Sharda. On the opposite corner flag, this the Everton right. O'Brien does really well, much stronger than Sharda. Now Dibbling, back to Irabunum on that far side, the right. All very tight on the edge of the penalty area. Lovely ball, Garner, and McNeil was the target on the edge of the penalty area. That was the first real sign of Everton stringing an intricate attack together, as a long ball from Jensen was looking good, but Thiago got in the way. And now Grealish bursts into the penalty area. Laid back to O'Neill. Good save, Kelleher. Dwight McNeil with his left foot. Kelleher diving to his left. First real opportunity of the game, and Quaven Kelleher equal to it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant save just down to his left-hand side. It's low. Dwight McNeil gets brilliant strike on it. It's hit with pace. Difficult to sometimes push that around the post, but he does well. Big chance for Everton now again from the corner, I thought.
Well made by Grealish. Kelleher got a big left hand to it to keep the score at Everton 0, Brentford 0. First corner of the afternoon will be taken by Dwight McNeil on that far side, the Everton left. Swings it in deep to the back post and headed goalwards off the line, Thiago. Brilliant goal-saving clearance from the man so used to scoring for Brentford, and now he can lead the counter-attack. Jensen looking for Thiago, great recovering challenge, Tarkowski, and Pickford will scamper out of his goal to clear downfield. Straight to Grealish, that's a fine ball to Jack Grealish. Collins in front of him though. What a good start to this game this has been. Kelleher will deliver downfield. Out of play it goes, and this will be a chance to catch our breath, because after a fairly cagey couple of moments, it's been end to end, and Everton with the first real chance of the game.
Yeah, and I think that's just what we spoke about. You know, the opening 5 minutes, both teams, you want to try and put your opposite number under pressure, and Everton getting the opportunity, then straight from the corner, Brentford looking to be dangerous the other end, and then in the end a few pushes and shoves from a few people led to a free kick, and it all sort of calmed down.
Brentford with the ball in their back line, 5.5 minutes played at Hill Dickinson Stadium, still waiting for the first goal of the game, but it's been an encouraging opening 5.5 minutes. Brentford in possession inside the Everton half. The Ukrainian Yarmolyuk, that's loose, too far in front of Aya, and Grealish, the ponytailed Grealish, takes up a position in the centre of midfield, and he didn't really know what to do with it, and because he dallied on it, Coyote got back into a position to make the challenge. Mykolenko to the gloved Garner was an excellent performer in Everton's 2-0 win over Forest, making the first that Dwight McNeil scored and scoring the second to make sure of the points. Brentford can't get out of a very tight cul-de-sac in their right back position. McNeil moves across the pitch, Irabunum centrally positioned, Barry with his back to goal, Collins comes steaming through the back of him. No free kick, says the referee. I think Tierno Barry was looking for that one, and Brentford can regain possession and move it away.
Yeah, just came into him a little straight there, and sometimes that favours the centre back who's tight. Collins just in behind him, allows him to just get his foot sort of through the legs and use his body to just disrupt him.
Keane with a safe header back to Jordan Pickford. Michael Keane back in the Everton lineup after missing Nottingham Forest with minor injury. Jake O'Brien, who did play centre back with James Tarkowski, moving across to right back to allow for Keane's arrival back into the centre of the Everton defence. Mykolenko to Keane and all the way back to Jordan Pickford. So Everton 0, Brentford 0. BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra. Former Scotland international Rachel Corsie alongside our, as mentioned, first visit to this stadium. And one thing that strikes me, Rachel, which you don't really get an idea on television, is how steep the stands are, how close everyone is. It's very much like Tottenham's new stadium. Even though it's huge capacity, everyone feels right on top of the action. Yeah,
it's brilliant. I mean, we've a brilliant viewpoint up here as well, and I'm sure pretty much wherever you are sat, you have an excellent view of the game. I had a quick lap round the outside primarily because I couldn't find the hut to get my accreditation. which is a nice little opportunity to see every stand as well.
An unintentional lap of the stadium. Well, it's good post-Christmas to get the steps in.
You're right.
Brentford building slowly in their back line. First real opportunity they've had to string some passes together, but Everton are pressing so well and with such great intensity in that midfield that it's very difficult for the better players, or at least the more creative players, to get their foot on the ball. And Aya and Collins exchange passes, goes via Yarmolyuk. Collins over halfway, Damsgaard with a pocket of space. This just to the left of the centre circle inside the Everton half. Early ball for Thiago, who puts his left hand up in acknowledgement because he liked the idea from Damsgaard. Just a little too close to Pickford, and Everton have it back. Yeah,
too much on it there, but sometimes good just to get almost a feel for it early on. You know, yes, that one's over hit, but now it sort of puts Everton back line on the front foot. You got to be wary of it, and sometimes that's what then, as the game progresses, more little spaces open up in front of them, given they know that there is a threat in behind them.
Keen for Everton, the blue boots to match his blue shirt. Mikalenko in the base layer and the gloves on a very chilly afternoon on Merseyside. Chilly everywhere in the UK, but it's made for some crisp conditions overhead. Mikalenko on halfway, feeds a ball down the inside left channel, one for Barry to run onto. Good strength just to bump his defender off the ball. I had come across to make the challenge. Barry used his strength well to get between man and ball, and he wins Everton was it a corner or a throw? I didn't see if it went out for a...
I think it's a throw-in. I think it's a throw-in,
2 or 3 yards from the corner flag near side the left. Mikalenko will load up one of his long throws. Keane and Tarkowski trot into the Brentford penalty area. They provide the obvious height in that Everton box. Mikalenko's throw towards the front post, not one of the longer long throws you'll see, and the header from Tarkowski comfortable for Kelleher, who might try and get Brentford moving on the counter-attack. And Jensen to Janelt, and that flicker of an opportunity for a counter-attack quickly snuffed out because Everton have plenty of bodies behind the ball. So 0-0 between Everton and Brentford. Fulham-Liverpool 5 minutes away from getting underway on 5 Live. That one delayed. Still goalless between Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Tottenham and Sunderland. Later on 5 Live, Manchester City play Chelsea. Chelsea, who I say dispensed of the services, will know at some point whether that was Maresca deciding to leave or Chelsea deciding to get rid, or probably a bit of both. But Chelsea's first game post Maresca is away at Manchester City. Schade loses his footing, although he thought he was fouled. I must admit, from our vantage point, which granted is a long way away, it looked like he was. He did slip, but Everton give it away. Thiago puts Brentford into the lead between two centre-halves. Igor Thiago capitalises on a wonderful ball into the box, and his goal-scoring drought is over. Everton 0, Brentford 1.
Well, it's a brilliant finish, but it's an excellent ball. I think it's Yarmolyuk who eventually gets it back. Ashada feels like he wants a free kick. Everton delaying. Immediately Yarmolyuk steals it back and just whips a ball with his left foot and goes over Michael Keane. He probably gets himself in a little bit of an awkward position, and it just drops at the foot of Thiago, and just first time he just cushions that perfectly in the bottom corner. Pickford no chance. Ruthless from Brentford. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, it's an excellent finish from Igor Thiago. The television cameras immediately pan to Anthony Taylor because this will be checked for offside. Everton loose in possession. They give it away on the edge of their own penalty area. The ball, well, Thiago's clearly onside. I'm not sure what the wait is for, because Thiago is onside. Janelt wins the ball very successfully. It's his cross in, and Thiago with a fine finish between Michael Keane and Mikalenko. Well, whatever check there was, it was very fleeting because the goal successfully given, and Brentford have the lead.
Yeah, and they have been probably the side that's, well, if you call it the better team by having more of the ball. A lot of it's been in their own third, very measured and calm, but you see there, as soon as they win the ball back in Everton's third, it's can we deliver in the box. Thiago, you can tell he's a striker who, yes, not got immediately recent form, but he also is the second highest scorer in the Premier League. Very, very dangerous inside that penalty box.
He certainly is. 12 for the season now for Igor Thiago. Second behind Erling Haaland at the top of the goal-scoring lists in the Premier League, but that is first in 6 Premier League appearances. Igor Thiago, and he took it very well indeed. And Everton have work to do. 12 minutes in, 5 Sports Extra 2, Everton 0, Brentford 1. And what you would say, Rachel, for the game, that is exactly what is needed. We did wonder how flowing the goals would be. To get one in the opening 13 minutes is no bad thing.
Absolutely not. And it puts a little bit of onus now back onto Everton, who have not had a poor start, but they've not managed to get themselves much of the ball to really make a go of it themselves yet.
The Brentford goal came from an Everton mistake. Brentford now sloppy in possession. Garner running back towards the halfway line, not really the direction he wanted to be travelling in. Keane to Pickford, looking very bright, Jordan Pickford. He's all in green, different shades of green. His goalkeeping kit is a slightly darker shade of green than the gloves and the boots that he's sporting. Mikalenko over halfway, near side the left. Grealish, you'll feel Everton will need to involve Jack Grealish in everything they do as much as possible if they are to get themselves back into this game. Garner keeps hold of the ball, base of the centre circle, and Everton can build slowly through the thirds. But like they were doing to Brentford are pressing really nicely in midfield. But Irabunim escapes a couple of challenges. McNeil will take up possession and he dallies on it. You won't get that much time. Yarmolenko robs him. And now the Ukrainian over halfway. Infield to Jensen. Immediately surrounded by 3 blue shirts. Janelt will just turn full circle, slow things down. Brentford now, with Hickey on that far side, the left, can think about Brentford's latest attack. Everton 0, Brentford 1. The long ball to this near side, the right. Coyote wins his header. Thiago in front of Keane. That came off Thiago last. And Everton will have a throw in a left-back position. Rachel.
Yeah, very measured from Brentford, and it's sort of remarkable seeing how they've started this game to think they've only won twice this season away from home. Not been great on the road. You just see, Keith Andrews, he wants him to control the game with possession, and that's probably a little bit of, in some degree, the identity that Brentford have had for a little while, play good football. But really, it can be difficult to do that when you're not in your home stadium. So far today, though, it's been very effective.
Yeah, just 6 of Brentford's 27 Premier League points this season have been won away from home. They're 2 wins against teams number 19 and 20, West Ham and Wolves. Although that victory over Wolves was their last one on the road, so maybe they have turned a little bit of a corner, and they've certainly started this game very well. 15 minutes in, Everton 0, Brentford 1. Brentford free kick just inside the Everton half, but the big men have rolled forward for this one. Damsgaard will take it, left arm in the air, his right foot towards the back post. There are 2 Brentford players there, but well marshalled. Combination of O'Brien and Tarkowski, and that's out of play. It goes for a goal kick to Everton. And that is one thing that Keith Andrews has brought to this role. We know he was set-piece coach under Thomas Frank, but Brentford have managed to keep the engaging attacking style that was so prevalent under Thomas Frank, but he's added his own set-piece magic, and even though they play nice attractive football, they're not afraid to pump it long when set pieces like that emerge.
No, exactly, and they'll think of that as a little bit of a wasted opportunity, that the long lofted diagonal, the targets over that far side, you just expect one to attack it and almost head it back across the goal, which we see so many times is so dangerous as a second phase on set plays. But in the end, marshalled very well by Everton, who of course as well themselves very good aerially for set pieces.
Kelleher with the ball, the Brentford goalkeeper, deep inside the Brentford half. There is plenty of other football outside the Premier League going on, although not as much as first scheduled given the weather, so plenty of games have not made it, and those that are taking place in the EFL, Preston lead away at Bristol City 0, Preston 1, and in League 1, Wycombe 1, Wimbledon 0, Huddersfield 1, Exeter 0. We'll keep you in touch with all of the goals as they go in up and down the country. And indeed the first one has got in at St James's Park, where Anthony Gordon has scored for Newcastle. Newcastle 1, Crystal Palace 0. Sports Extra 3 via the BBC Sounds app for that. Rather untidy passage of play developing on the Everton right. Brentford left with lots of ricochets and half-hearted challenges. It breaks Brentford's way. Jensen to Thiago was the idea, just behind the Brentford goal scorer. I think Jensen had probably more time than he realised there. Could have taken a touch and maybe gone for goal himself, but Thiago not too far away from getting on the end of that.
Another good move in the end from Brentford, and it was a dangerous situation that almost came to nothing from their own eagerness of the little combination edge of the box didn't quite come off. But warning signs for Everton, because they certainly don't want to go another goal behind in this opening period. And you think about their own attacking players. Grealish has had a few touches, dribbling on the other side, very little service. Even players like James Garner, not much in terms of his involvement so far either, and you'd expect Everton at some point will need to try and change the momentum of this.
Throw taken quickly by Grealish, looking for Barry. Kelleher comes off his line quickly and does well. He had to be alert there because the ball went out of play probably 3 or 4 yards further down the line than where Grealish actually took the throw. He raced to get a ball from a cone, and Brentford could easily have been caught out there, but Kelleher read that well.
Yeah, great goalkeeping. He was alert.
Everton fans trying to get behind their team, and it's difficult when Brentford are keeping controlled possession as they are now. Kelleher again with a touch, and here is Christopher Ajer, who goes long looking for Thiago. Ajer continuing to keep Sepp Vandenberg out of this Brentford lineup. Garner, who is very close to Jordan Pickford, comes across the penalty area, plays a ball that looked a little shy of pace, and indeed it put O'Brien in trouble. Sharda in quickly. Damsgaard now runs straight into Garner. It's just those moments that are frustrating the Everton crowd. That pass needed a little bit more juice on it, and it put Jake O'Brien in trouble, and luckily for Everton, Brentford couldn't capitalise. Plymouth lead at home to Burton in League One. Plymouth 1, Burton Albion 0. 19 minutes in, Everton 0, Brentford 1.
Stand by for stadium
Throw
safety
for Everton
message.
in their right back position. Thrown carefully down the line, headed only as far as Dibbling on halfway. And again, Brentford very good at dispossessing Everton's midfield. Ajer smoothly to Coyote, halfway line. Coyote's touch loose, but actually it allowed him to skip away from Mikalenko, who committed himself. Jensen, edge of the penalty area. Coyote's continued his run. Grealish in front of him, and then has to clear. Doesn't do a good job of that. Coyote into Damsgaard inside the penalty area. Brentford just cannot find the final pass, and that would have been a goal made by Everton, really, because I'm not sure what Jack Grealish was thinking so close to his own goal line. Jensen in field. Good challenge on Damsgaard by Garner. Jensen now surrounded by 3 Everton players. For all of the game's nice passages, it is being punctured by some old school football, shall we call it, where there are bodies everywhere. Barry's now shoved to the floor by Yarmolyuk, and the end result of all of that is an Everton free kick.
Yeah, that was a strange passage of play, sort of just a catalogue of errors from both sides. I think Brentford probably should have had a free kick of their own, and foul on Jensen. I think he was sort of tugged back in the end. It looked like he got outnumbered, which he ultimately did, but I think there maybe was a foul in there. But nonetheless, Everton have a moment to get some possession. It looks like Pickford's just going to probably send this one forward.
Which he is, with his left foot towards the right edge of the penalty area. Header won by Garner. Dibbling was close by, but sensible, controlled defending Aaron Hickey to nod it back to his goalkeeper, and the score remains Everton 0, Brentford 1. I'm sure you picked up on our effects, Mike, an initial announcement about a stadium safety exercise, and here it comes.
Safety exercise.
The first announcement didn't have the word exercise, and I think a few of us were a little bit concerned about what that might mean, but now that exercise has been said, I think everyone's just relaxed a little bit now.
I'm just hoping you're half listening, because I'm just purely focused on the game, which is, I'm glad you're concerned.
I'll keep an ear out for it.
Yeah.
I'll let you know if we need to depart. I think we're okay for now. Lovely weaving run from Nathan Collins, of all people, through the heart of the Everton midfield, and he's checked on his progress. He's complaining to the referee about something. He's got the free kick. He was in between 2 or 3. Dibbling eventually brought him down. I'm not sure what Collins was arguing there. Maybe thought it could have been a booking. But anyway, Brentford have a free kick, probably closer to the centre circle than it is the penalty area, but another chance for the big players to roll forward. Yeah,
and they hope this time that the delivery can be a little more dangerous, but even just that, a different option. We've not seen that much so far today, but Collins deciding there wasn't a pass on and just using the space in front of him to stride through. He's probably made up 30-40 yards, and now Everton need to defend this with focus and attention.
Everton's line is a yard or so outside of their own penalty area, so this free kick, if it is to be placed, needs to be hit with great accuracy in that back post area. Janelt, who provided the assist, is over it. Good looking ball to the back post, at least it was the correct trajectory, you felt. Partially headed away. Yarmolyuk retrieves possession. Damsgaard back in field. Another chance for Janelt to deliver. instead tries to thread a difficult pass to Damsgaard. It was just behind the Danish midfielder, skips out of play. Everton have this throw in their left-back position. Cardiff 1, Wigan 0 in League One, and that Newcastle goal that Anthony Gordon has scored, I notice on the video printer, has been disallowed, VAR intervening there. So still, Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Just going back to that free kick, Chris, I think that's another waste, to be honest. I'm not sure initially the delivery to Aaron Hickey is the one you'd typically expect. Then the second time around, I think that's probably a wrong decision from Janelt.
Space for O'Brien to scamper into for Everton on that far side, the right, over halfway. Infield to Irabunum. You could just hear the dynamics of the Everton crowd. They weren't happy that that ball went backwards and square rather than forward. Irabunum possibly could have played it forward, but he chose the safe pass. That's a terrible pass. A chance for Everton here with Irabunum. Left foot shot wide. And the hand of apology, because it was a loose pass in the centre of midfield. It was Yarmolyuk who gave it away, and suddenly it was 3-on-3, and Irabunum, his left foot shot in the end, scuffed and a long way wide.
Yeah, and it's a rare missed pass so far from Brentford. They've been very good in that area. Just looking to set, I think it was probably Janelt who was coming round, but the set nowhere near enough on it. Irabunum poor in the end with the effort on his weaker foot, just drags it nowhere near a dangerous area, but probably a little bit of optimism from Everton in the fact that's the only real opportunity they've had in quite some time now.
He's yet to score for Everton, is Tim Irabunum, and I think we got an idea as to why that might be. But that is a chance for Everton, and here could be a chance for Brentford. Thiago's the wrong side of Keane again. He's into the box, onto his right foot, still going Thiago. Got his shot away with his left. Mikalenko makes the diving challenge. It wasn't hit with any great pace, so Pickford may well have saved it. But Igor Thiago using his strength well again to fashion another Brentford chance. Corner.
Yeah, and it's just a ball knocked over the top, and you see immediately Michael Keane knows he's in a little bit of trouble because he has to turn and get back. Thiago's probably anticipated it a little more as a forward naturally would, but Mikalenko immediately knew the danger. He got across very quickly to the right hand side to just cover with Keane, and in the end the two of them were able to just snuff that out.
Yeah, looked like the chance might have gone once Keane had got back to Thiago. Little squeak of maybe a handball, but I think it hits Keane on the chest or the side rather than the arm. Certainly no need for a VAR to intervene there. And here comes this Brentford corner in front of the south stand, away to our right. Collins and Ayer both wait for this delivery that's hoisted into the box. Ayer got there and heads over the bar, and the look on his face as he drops to his knees. Now, has he been caught in the head there rather than going down in anguish about how good a chance that actually was? It was a good chance, you know, right underneath the crossbar. There was a little arm in his head, and that goes down as another decent chance for Brentford.
Yeah, it was a good chance. I think in the end it's Michael Keane's the other player just holding on to his head, and I think Keane does do well. He's in that central 6-yard area, and it's his job to go and attack it. And I think in the end the two probably meet the ball at a very similar moment, which just means it's difficult to guide the ball on target. It's just a little too high.
Yeah.
But sort of the two of them competing for it means it's difficult chance to convert that, and defensively that's sometimes for Michael Keane all he can do is you got to go up and compete.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened there. And it looks like on his way down from heading the ball, just catches Keane with his head. And Ayer has definitely come off the worst of the two. And when the camera zoomed in on the close-up of Christopher Ayer, he looked a little bit groggy. So we'll go through the usual concussion protocols here. There are several members of the Brentford physio team just making sure that everything is okay. He's still on his back, he's fully conscious, there's no concerns there, but they're just checking to make sure neck movement is okay.
Stadium safety exercise.
The Everton fans are enjoying, or probably the Brentford fans are enjoying these various PA announcements. I can tell you, Rachel, that all clear now, so don't worry.
Good.
Yeah, you don't need to worry.
We're here for the foreseeable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this could be a foreseeable break in play while Christopher Ayer receives treatment. So Everton 0, Brentford 1. Still no goals in the other Premier League games. They are underway at Craven Cottage, where there was a delayed kickoff, so they're only 50 minutes in over on 5 Live. 0-0, as is the score between Newcastle Palace on Sports Extra and Tottenham Sunderland. That's on Sports Extra. Newcastle Palace on Sports Extra 3. Seeing another replay of the goal, and it's the sort of goal, Thiago clearly will get a lot of the credit, Rachel, but it's the kind of goal that is just made by the quality of the cross. Thiago just has one job: to redirect it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful ball, and I naturally look at these moments and know how they feel from a centre-back perspective.
Yeah.
Michael Keane will have known when the ball was being delivered that he was the one that played the ball forward, that in the end was stolen, and very quickly the ball came back over his head, so he wasn't quite able to probably pick up that central position that he was probably a yard too far in front of where he would have wanted to be. And you just know when a striker's off your back shoulder that you're in a little bit of bother, and it dropped perfectly to Thiago. And it's not always easy though, but he very coolly just used his instep to just put it right into the bottom corner. It was a great finish, and definitely a finish that you'd expect him to make, because he's become one of the players this season that you have to say you can understand why a lot of people will be watching him. I think there's rumours as well that Brazil may be something in the horizons this summer potentially, and he'll be hoping that if he can keep this form, he does actually carry a chance.
Well, absolutely. They're not short of talent up front of Brazil.
They're not.
But much to Scotland's anguish, I imagine, but we'll see.
Well, we'll enjoy it even.
Yeah. But when you're the second top scorer in the Premier League behind Erling Haaland, and you've scored 12, and we've only just ticked into January, then that sort of number is going to attract attention. Christopher Ajer still receiving treatment. He's now off his back and he's sitting up straight. Not a doctor by any stretch, Rachel, but my hunch is if it's taking this amount of time, then I wonder if Brentford will be forced into a change at the back. Sepp Vandenberg is the obvious replacement, centre-half for centre-half. He's back on his feet. The Everton fans are not happy with the length of time that's taken, but I think you can perfectly understand when it's a head injury. He's being strapped up now. There's a big wad of black tape on his forehead. He's giving the Everton fans a little smile. You can understand why that has taken a bit of time.
Yeah, and I think when it's a head injury, you have to deal with it as the protocols require, and as the medical team feel it's safe to do so. And naturally, the opposing fans sometimes are not very sympathetic towards that, but the smile from himself suggests that hopefully he's feeling good and can continue.
Yeah, he is having to make the long way round to get back to the halfway line. He's going to have to change his shirt, so maybe there was a bit of blood. We're back underway, and Everton are coming forward with Grealish, and now the gloved Garner on what is a very chilly afternoon. Mikalenko swings the ball in. Barry with the header straight at Kelleher. Did well to fashion any sort of chance from that, because he was a long way out from goal. Just got in front of Collins, but his header was easy for Kelleher.
Yeah, not much more you can do from that area. I think it's a ball that's decent if it's probably 5-6 yards closer to the goal. You know, is whipped in, but to score from sort of 14 yards out is going to take some header.
Tottenham in front at home to Sunderland. Ben Davis has scored. The lesser spotted Ben Davis for Tottenham. 1-0 they lead against Sunderland. And a card is coming here for Yarmolyuk for the challenge on Garner. Anthony Taylor. It was a late challenge and he is getting a yellow card. And I wonder if that is for one of a number of challenges he's made rather than for that one in particular.
Yeah, it just sort of looked like he caught the ankle of Garner. I think a yellow card potentially harsh. I don't feel like it's been a game where we've seen too many nasty challenges, but it just sort of catches his standing leg. It's not a great challenge, that said, so can't really argue with a yellow, I suppose.
First caution of the game. Yehor Yarmolyuk into Anthony Taylor's notebook. Pickford delivers the subsequent free kick towards the edge of the penalty area. Tarkowski loses out to Collins. The clearance to no one in particular, and Mikalenko can scamper all the way back into his own half to start Everton moving forward again. In the Championship, Charlton now 2 up away at Blackburn. Blackburn 0, Charlton Athletic 2. Tarkowski's header in field. Keane, the two centre-halves right in the heart of this attack. It drops to Dibbling on the edge of the penalty area, onto his left foot. Shot blocked. Keane, he's still there. Can't quite find space for the shot. And Brentford can clear, although it might be coming straight back at Brentford, or Everton will want this ball forward. You can again hear the cries of disappointment, and then Pickford launches it downfield, errantly so. It's a couple of those moments that maybe Everton could go forward more, but the initial chance for Dibbling and then for Keane, neither could find the required space to shoot.
No, Keane just tried to chop onto his other side to create a bit of space. He did it, fairly comfortably, but it was well defended by Brentford, so the chance didn't quite come. And then I think Izirabunam has the chance to probably play forward, maybe just not feeling the most confident at the moment. Couldn't quite do that, and obviously a backwards pass off what felt like an opportunity naturally gets the boos.
Everton 0, Brentford 1. The voice of Former Scotland captain Rachel Corsie with us on 5 Sports Extra 2. Everton looking to build some momentum. It's with Dibbling on the right-hand edge of the penalty area, running at Hickey onto his left foot, rolls it onto his right. Now Sharda comes in to challenge him, and between Sharda and Hickey, they dispossess the youngster fairly comfortably, and in Dibbling's desire to make amends, he tumbles into the back of Sharda, and that is a fairly straightforward free kick for Sharda to win for his side.
Yeah, and it's not been the best afternoon so far for Tyler Dibbling. Just can't quite find much room against Aaron Hickey. He's very good in those 1v1 situations. Shad in the end coming back to help, and you know, these are the opportunities for him. And Jai's away. Dewsbury Hall, of course, is injured, so other attacking players not available is giving him potentially a chance to get a run of games. And you know, for a younger player, there's expectation because of the price tag, but he'd like to probably get a few more opportunities to get the ball down and get at Brentford, show what he can do.
Yeah, big money move from Southampton. Still only 19, turns 20 in February, so still plenty of years ahead of Tyler Dibbling. Played very well against Forest, actually. First time he's completed a full game for Everton under David Moyes. They did perform very well as a collective, Everton, against a Forest side under Sean Dyche, who badly needed the win, but a depleted Everton in the end won fairly comfortably. They're not finding this afternoon comfortable. Brentford lead 1-0. We've got 11 minutes to half time, but it's probably closer to 15-16 because of the stoppage in play to deal with Ayer's head injury. Challenged by Garner on Yarmulke. Out of play it goes. Brentford throw. Fulham in front against Liverpool. Harry Wilson, the former Liverpool midfielder, has scored at Craven Cottage. 17 minutes in there because of that delay to kick off. Fulham 1, Liverpool 0. That game over on BBC Radio 5 Live with Manchester City Chelsea to come at 5:30. In the Championship, Derby 1, Wrexham 1, and in League 1, Blackpool 0, Bradford City 1. And you're up to date with the goals here on 5 Sports Extra 2. Thiago, the target with this long ball, and he jumps into Tarkowski. Anthony Taylor gives the free kick. Thiago and Tarkowski have a word. Is that a friendly word?
I think of sorts. I think of sorts. I don't think there wasn't anything nasty in it, I don't believe. They're probably just sharing the thoughts on the duel so far, which I think has been a good duel.
Yeah, it had the threatened to momentarily turn nasty because Tarkowski indicated that he felt it was an elbow, but he then smiled after it, so yeah. They made amends.
Yeah, and I don't think it wasn't an elbow really.
No.
He sort of jumped blind, didn't he, kind of into him, and the elbow was raised of sorts, but it didn't look particularly nasty.
It didn't. Everton 0, Brentford 1. Brentford with Kelleher. Keith Andrews will undoubtedly be the happier of the two managers way down below. We can see both of them. They're very close together, actually. David Moyes, we can see his silver hair down below, right on the corner of his technical area. Keith Andrews, what can only be a metre or so away from him, watching his Brentford side attack. Although that attack ended by Garner, and now Grealish, very deep is the ponytailed Grealish, now running away from two Brentford players. He's looking for the outball. Keane provides the option, but still very close to Everton's penalty area. Mikalenko can release some of the pressure. Barry is isolated up there on his own. He won the initial header, but support lacking to him, so Brentford can clear. Mikalenko picks up the second ball, and now Grealish with the fluorescent boots can move Everton forward with Mikalenko on the edge of the penalty area. Left-footed ball in, that's a waste, and easily cleared by Collins. Mikalenko has another chance because the clearance went straight back to him, and then Coyote can thump it downfield. Thiago and Tarkowski resume battle, and it breaks Brentford's way. It's 3-on-3 momentarily. If Damsgaard can pick the right pass, Sharda one side, it goes to Sharda, up against O'Brien. Left foot shot blocked by O'Brien. Out of play for a corner, and Brentford 3-on-3 momentarily. Damsgaard led the charge, Thiago one side, Sharda the other, and in the end, once Sharda had eventually taken his shot, there were 3 or 4 players back. Yeah,
brilliant for Brentford, and just Damsgaard there, who I was just thinking probably has been the best player so far. We've not mentioned him loads, but he's very lively in those second balls. Thiago and Tarkowski just going up for that battle once again, but Damsgaard is right on it. I didn't feel the pass to Sharda was the best one. In the end, O'Brien does really well to just marshal Sharda and defend the 1v1 very well.
A man in form following his hat-trick against Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago. And with 38 minutes played at a frustrated Hill Dickinson Stadium, Brentford have a corner and a chance to double their lead. It's deep, way deep to the back post, too deep for everyone. Ayer jumped out of hope rather than expectation, and that'll be an Everton goal kick with 7 minutes plus, you'd think 5 or 6 added on at the end of this first half. Everton 0, Brentford 1. Blackburn back in it at home to Charlton. Blackburn 1, Charlton 2 in the Championship, and staying in the Championship, Millwall 1, Swansea City 0. Ball back with Kelleher, and Thiago this time with Keane, and Thiago is getting the better of both centre-halves, Tarkowski and Keane. He is a very physical player, Igor Thiago, and he's making life very uncomfortable for both Everton centre-halves. Tarkowski with a little dink over halfway. Barry will be, in fact, does really well to escape the attentions of 2 Brentford players, and it might have sparked an Everton attack. Grealish acres on this near side of the left. That's a heavy touch, but it allowed Coyote to come in with a rasping challenge. Coyote gets booked because he mistimed it, and that was all Grealish's touch. It looked heavy. Coyote thought so, thought he could get the ball. Grealish just got there in front of him, drew the foul, draws the yellow card. Everton free kick.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that you almost, as you saw it coming in slow motion, you think he's not going to get that. And it's a cynical foul. Grealish obviously flew to the ground and rolled about just to make sure the yellow card was produced, but fortunately for him, it's not one of those tackles that causes too much damage. He's back up on his feet, but good little moment from Everton to finally break that pressure from Brentford and just get an attack of their own. And it was a heavy touch from Grealish initially, which is rare to say, but in the end that led to the foul that's now given them the chance to put a ball into the box and try and fashion something.
Garner with his right, McNeil with his left on the angle of the penalty area. Not a shooting chance. Garner delivers a good looking ball that is headed behind. Oh, referee has seen something there. You can hear from the fans it's gone Brentford's way. Must have been a push in there somewhere. Garner's delivery, it was looking okay. In fact, Sharda's on the floor, so maybe someone pushed Sharda over.
I think it's Dibbling who he's given the foul against, but I really think that's very, very harsh. It's rare you get those given, especially given the ball was not in that area. You know, that's the other way around. I don't think that's likely to be a penalty, which I know isn't quite how the rules work, but I think that's soft.
Yeah, they're both at it, aren't they? And Sharda uses the opportunity to throw himself to the floor, but he wins the free kick. James Tarkowski had an animated word with Anthony Taylor. Dibbling came across to remonstrate too, and Tarkowski just shoved him away and said, "No, I'll leave this to me. I'm the captain, I'll deal with it." Which of course is the letter of the law. Only the captains can talk to the referee. And
I think talk is the key word.
Yes, yes, yeah, that's fair enough. And whatever Anthony Taylor said, I'm not sure James Tarkowski completely agreed with, but he took what he said on board, and on we go. Brentford have a throw level with the edge of the Everton penalty area. 5 minutes of normal time in the first half to play. Hill Dickinson a little bit hushed. You can understand why. It's not been Everton's half. They've not really tested Kelleher. Couple of opportunities that they've created, they've not really taken advantage of. And Coyote, we know, possesses one of the most lethal long throws in the Premier League. Puts his left arm in the air. Now with a hop, skip and a jump, delivers a missile to the front post. Ayer just over his head, still alive in the Everton box. Collins very nearly had a shooting opportunity. Damsgaard heads it back into a dangerous area, and again there are numbers at the back post. It's the 2 centre-halves. Ayer and Collins were close to it. Ayer then dives into a challenge. Collins is there as well on the left-hand side. It's one of those moments again in this game where there are bodies sprawled everywhere. Everton eventually win the throw. A couple of moments in that attack that you felt it was going to fall to a Brentford player, but Everton managed to clear their lines and scramble it away.
Yeah, it's just so, that throw-in is just so dangerous. I mean, it comes in at such intensity that Everton do well. They get the first contact, but it only goes to the edge of the box, and then it comes back in, and in the end I think it was O'Brien that dealt well with an overload at the back post.
Damsgaard, who has been very influential for Brentford, fine ball into Sharda, who is saved by Pickford. Well, that was almost a carbon copy of the opening goal from the other side this time. Great ball in from Damsgaard, and Sharda in front of his man. He couldn't really do much else than direct it goalwards, and luckily for Everton it was straight at Pickford.
Yeah, it was a huge chance, and like you said, I don't think Sharda could have done too much more, but another wonderful delivery from Damsgaard. showing his quality, just picks up these little areas and he just sees the dangerous pass so quickly. It's so difficult to put yourself in a defensive position to deal with it, and Jordan Pickford, fortunately, just fell into his arms.
Brentford have been the better of the two sides. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They've looked the more threatening, they've created the better chances, and they've scored the goal that separates the two with 2 minutes to play until the 45. Coyote racing forward from his right back position. Damsgaard with space inside the midfield again. Thiago's on the edge of the penalty area. Ball to the back post. Schade was there, so too was Hickey. And I think Schade rather got in Hickey's way. Brentford can still move forward on that far side, the Brentford left. It's with Damsgaard once again. Infield to Hickey. Coyote's cropped up on that left-hand side now. Collins, Jensen, and now Hickey to Jensen again. There's a measure of control about Brentford when they have the ball. Jensen almost stationary. Uses Hickey on that left-hand side. Dibbling, ratting around, trying to get a foot in. Damsgaard, he finds these pocketed spaces so well. His low ball in. Thiago was there. And the run from Janelt was a little too keen. But Damsgaard pulling the strings for Brentford, who now have some defending. Oh, Barry's just let that run under his foot, and that rather sums up Everton. And then he rather unwisely kicks the ball away. But I think referee Anthony Taylor's being lenient. But once again, Rachel, Brentford so easy on the eye. They're creating some excellent positions.
Very creative, and when you have so much possession like they've managed to have, you don't feel the same level of fatigue as to what Everton will be feeling, who've had to largely chase and defend for much of the game, and you can just see the freedom it's allowing the Brentford players to have when they do have the ball.
Schade turns. Tarkowski wanted the free kick, did the German. Referee was very close by and didn't agree. Dibbling under pressure, he loses it again. Won't be long before the Everton fans start getting on his back a little. Thiago's touch errant. Garner's pass appalling. Jensen picks it up in midfield. Schade makes the run. Pickford retreats. Schade into the penalty area. He's around Tarkowski. Thiago waits for the cross. And Tarkowski in the way. Garner apologises. And this Everton performance has been littered with those sort of sloppy errors.
Yeah, and Garner, who again against Forest was one of the shining lights, you'd have to say. Today, a few times in possession, he's just rolled the ball far too slowly into dangerous positions, and Brentford have picked it off. That there again, a brilliant opportunity that led to some last-ditch defending that's now resulted in a corner, and really Everton will be wanting the half-time whistle. I think this second half they're going to have to adjust things because it's been far too easy for Brentford.
That half-time whistle will be 5 minutes away. 5 minutes on the board, mainly to deal with that Christopher Ayer injury. And actually, you say, Rachel, those 5 minutes suit Brentford more than Everton. Everton want to get in because Brentford are on top. They have this corner that is delivered to the front post. That's not one of Janelt's better ones. Easily cleared. McNeil was hoping for support. Does well there, Dwight McNeil. He waited for the run of Barry. His touch, though, a little too heavy. And Brentford have a throw. And you'd sense that it'll be Brentford that want to push in these 5 minutes because they might feel that their performance warrants more than the one goal advantage they have.
Well, exactly that. And of course you're going to half time, and if it is just the 1-0, you know that then that gives Everton the chance to sort of galvanise, sort things out, change a couple of things, and you often then worry, are things going to swing? And in the longer it stays 1-0, you know that Everton very much will stay in this game.
Brentford, who are not good travellers, just 6 of their 27 points have been won away from home. They've lost 7 Premier League away games this season. Only Wolves at the bottom have lost more. But you wouldn't know it from this performance. They've been very good. Here's the goal scorer, Thiago, infield. Damsgaard just seems to have... There seems to be about 3 Damsgaards on the pitch, because not only is he absolutely everywhere, he seems to be in oceans of space every time he gets the ball. He's going across to get the ball off Hickey, but ignored. Yarmolyuk instead, left-hand side of the centre circle. Collins and Ayer now combine. Ayer over halfway, a ball through a gap. Jensen this time, now Thiago. Wonderful move, Thiago, well saved, Jordan Pickford. That could easily have been 2-0. So simple from Brentford. A ball through a middle third, the ball through the final third. Thiago's shot, Pickford in the way for Everton.
That's a wonderful save, and you expect Thiago to score. He's got to sort of wait till the ball eventually comes in front of him to shoot, and Pickford stays tall. He gets sort of his left shoulder rather to it, and it's a really good save. But again, just very straightforward from Brentford. Their system is allowing them to find those little gaps, and it's asking a lot of questions in the back line. 2
relatively simple passes, wasn't it? One through the midfield third, And then another through the attacking third, and Thiago is in. Here comes the corner. Better from Janelt, right into the heart of the 6-yard box. Temporarily headed away. Dibbling and Hickey will compete on that far side. It's going right across the byline. Hickey wins the ball illegally. The referee gives Everton a free kick, and we have 2 minutes of the half to play.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was a foul either, but for Everton, they'll be grateful of it. Just a good battle in the end. I think Hickey puts his foot in the ball, and that's what sort of trips over Dibbling, but probably the referee just hedging his bets and saying we'll call that a foul and get on with it.
Not too many complaints from Aaron Hickey. Pickford delivers the resulting free kick downfield. Barry heads it against Collins, or so I thought. Must have been straight off Barry's head because it's gone out of play for a Brentford throw. And maybe now they'll accept that it will be 1-0 at half-time. They're not looking to take this throw particularly quickly, and they'll go in with this 1-goal lead given to them by Igor Thiago's 12th of the season. And David Moyes has some thinking to do. And as mentioned, with a lot of their more attacking players absent, no Keane and Dewsbury Hall, hamstring injuries still, Iliman and Jai at AFCON. They are rather short on the bench as well, with several players yet to make their Premier League debut. There are 2 goalkeepers on the bench once again for Everton. Beto and Merlin Ruel really the only 2 recognised forward options. Harrison Armstrong, who's a player they are very excited about Everton. He's just been recalled from a loan spell at Preston. He's on the bench. May well see him a little bit later, but not a huge number of options for David Moyes.
No, but I think at a minimum a structural change is potentially needed, because Brentford, Jensen, as we was touching at the start, is playing out on this right hand side, and he really is a midfielder, and we see him come narrow, and the 2 fullbacks are the ones that provide the width, which is just, for both the fullbacks of Everton, is asking questions. Does O'Brien stay with Shada when he drops inside? Does Mikalenko go with Jensen when he drops into that pocket inside? And sometimes as a defender you're not sure, so you choose to stay. That moment of hesitation is just allowing Brentford to really dominate the ball in the midfield area.
The ire you heard from the Everton fans because Kevin Schade jumped into James Tarkowski once the ball had gone. Tarkowski not too happy with that and made sure Anthony Taylor and Kevin Schade knew how upset he was. Grealish coming in field from his left wing position. Give and go with Garner. Now space for Grealish. This is where he's dangerous. Edge of the penalty area. Into the penalty area. Left-footed ball in. Barry's header. Brilliant. Kelleher save. Keane on the rebound. Janelt in the way. Caoimhin Kelleher with a save, a brilliant save to keep the score at 0-1. Everton still moving forward. We've played the 5 minutes. This will be the last chance. Dibbling's cross cleared by Hickey. O'Brien just has to be a little careful here. He's the only man back, and Thiago was there. Dibbling will go all the way back to Pickford. That'll be the half-time whistle. We'll sum up the half as a whole in a minute, Rachel, but what about that save from Caoimhin Kelleher?
Yeah, and I think it just really hits him more than anything. It's a brilliant ball from Grealish. Just creates a yard for himself and whips it with his left foot. Barry does everything right, he gets his head on it, keeps it down, gets it on target, and Kelleher's just there, arms spread. Second phase of that, Michael Keane it drops to, gets the volley on target as well, but Janelt does well, and that's what we say, it's just 1-0. You're in the game right until the last minute, and you just need one half chance or one good chance like that to just go your way.
He didn't know too much about it, you're right, but it's a very good save. And then Janelt blocks the Keane volley on the rebound. That was travelling as well, not too dissimilar to the goal Gabriel scored for Arsenal against Bournemouth. But that is that for the first half. Everton 0, Brentford 1. Igor Thiago's 12th goal of the season. Well found Janelt. It was a fine ball in from the left-hand side. Thiago between 2 men. Calm side foot finish past Jordan Pickford. Brentford have had further chances to increase their lead. Thiago again with the best of them. Damsgaard, fine ball to him. Good save, Jordan Pickford, who's undoubtedly been the busier of the 2 goalkeepers. But that excellent Kelleher save right on the stroke of half-time to deny Tieno Barry. And Everton 0, Brentford 1 on the balance of play, Rachel. You can't really argue because Brentford have felt like the team in control.
Absolutely, and interestingly, I'm just looking at the stats, and it says that Everton have actually had 7 shots to Brentford's 5, but I can't really think of many of those really being of much dangerous nature, and it certainly has felt like Brentford have dominated, they've controlled the momentum of the game, and bar that little flurry at the end, Everton have had very, very little. And I think David Moyes will be disappointed because to be at home, some of those areas in the pitch you've got to be a lot more competitive, and you've got to try and have a lot more of the ball yourself and work the opposition. And
we mentioned the strength of both benches. Brentford's far stronger. going forward, the likes of Lewis Potter, Nelson, Henderson on it. Everton really only have the likes of Beto and Rule, but you mentioned that perhaps structural changes would be the order of the day. What can David Moyes do to try and get more from his side?
I certainly think they need to look into the midfield area. I think Irabunam and Garner are having problems with the overload that's being created by just the movement of Brentford's play. And like we touched on, Shada and Jensen both come narrow. They try and get the ball in the central areas, which for the fullbacks for Everton, they're choosing to keep shape, which is fairly normal, but it's making a really difficult job for Everton centrally to really get pressure against the ball. So it's whether he puts another body in there or whether he says to his fullbacks, if those players go in there, you've got to go with them, and it will concede the space wide, and then you're asking obviously Dibbling and Grealish to do potentially a job in terms of the defensive work. But it probably needs addressed. Damsgaard's getting far too much space. He's been the one that's shone, but otherwise all of Brentford's players have looked very good and composed in possession.
Well, David Moyes called the win against Nottingham Forest one of the most impressive under his spell. He probably would file that 45 minutes as one of the worst. But for Brentford, unbeaten in 4 with this poor away record, they have played very well and deserve this 1-goal lead given to them by Igor Thiago. So at the break, Everton 0, Brentford 1. We'll be back on 5 Sports Extra 2, 10-15 minutes time for the resumption of this Premier League game. There is a little mini press room. Go back the way we came and then come straight through. But whether it's toilets, I don't know. Otherwise, it's just a back door. Although probably how low of our eyes can see. Welcome back to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton 0, Brentford 1 is the half-time score. You're with BBC Radio 5 Sports Extra 2, and the second half is not too far away. Both sides are wandering out of the tunnel, and we are seeing Everton changes. So we did ponder whether there would be changes both in terms of formation and in structure, and Merlin Ruel is one of those players coming on, and Beto is the other. Now, Barry is still out there. Tyler Dibbling is one of the players to come off, and Dwight McNeil is the other. So Dwight McNeil and Tyler Dibbling replaced by Beto. So that is one player up front, and Merlin Ruel, the midfielder, is on as well. So Barry and Beto, you don't often see those two play together. We'll get former Scotland captain Rachel Corsy's views on that in just a moment. Brentford are ready to go. Everton will be kicking us off in this second half. Everton in blue and Brentford in red and white. And here we go. The second half of Everton 0, Brentford 1. Pickford delivers downfield. Beto's first involvement is to barge into Collins, and he's on the end of this now, into the penalty area. What an impact this could be. Beto runs out of room. smuggled wide for a throw to Everton. Well, that's just the kind of impact that David Moyes would want. Throw to Everton that Jake O'Brien will take on this near side, the right. This would be the perfect start to the second half for Everton. O'Brien is over this throw. Beto is right on top of the goalkeeper. The throw is not quite as good as Coyote's, although skips a little further into the box than Brentford would have liked. Mikalenko's touch was secure, needed to be. He was the last man back. He gets it back from Garner, who demands it back, but Mikalenko has to go all the way back to Jordan Pickford. So Rachel Corsie alongside. Couple of interesting David Moyes changes. Hold fire. Here's Grealish on the edge of the penalty area, up against Sharda. He plays it against Sharda, gets it back into the box, up against Ruhl, and that's out of play, off one of the Everton changes, and out of play for a goal kick. So double change, what do you make of it?
Well, yeah, I think David Moyes probably wasn't too happy with the performances, and sometimes that can be harsh because, you know, how you perform individually can also be impacted by the momentum of the team, and you know, those two weren't necessarily any worse than some others, but if you're going to make a change, somebody has to be the sacrifice, and Dibbling probably wasn't getting too much joy. It'll be interesting to see, just it's difficult so far to see if there's any sort of distinct shape changes or tactical ones, as it's pretty much just been in Brentford's penalty box so far the second half, but I suspect, other than a few stern words, there will be a little change in how they press the ball for Brentford. Yeah,
we'll see how Everton do go as the second half develops. Brentford with Janelt closed down by Garner, and that'll be a throw to Brentford midway through the Everton half. I will run you through the two 11s. The one revised 11 for Everton. Brentford didn't make any changes at half time. No surprise, they lead this game and by and large controlled the majority of that first half. That's a poor touch from Yarmolyuk, and that's out of play for a Everton throw. So Pickford, the goalkeeper for Everton. We presume the back five hasn't really altered much. O'Brien, Keane, Tarkowski and Mikalenko. Garner, Iribunum still out there, but now Ruhl on the pitch. Grealish, Barry and Beto. So two out-and-out strikers, and we'll just see where or what sort of positions they take up. They tend to play either one or the other. Brentford win the ball back after Everton lose. Thiago with the ball over the top. He's surrounded by two Everton players. Pickford very quickly out of goal, and he wants to get on with this quickly and does so by finding Mikalenko. His ball into midfield. Grealish in front of Beto, and Grealish now has space in the midfield. He's got a great run from Ruhl in front of him, but he's ignored. Grealish goes on, offloads to Mikalenko, left hand edge of the penalty area. His dink ball in. Ruhl back into the danger zone, off the head of Janelt and into the hands of Kelleher. And that sort of space, Rachel, we didn't see much of from Grealish, but already with 3 minutes of the second half played, it's that sort of space that Everton want to see him in.
Absolutely, and it looked at one point that Beto was going to take up. He just identified that Grealish was much more or better placed to run with it at his feet, and probably in the end he just delayed long enough that then the pass out to Mikalenko wasn't perfect. The ball into the box, a fairly tame one, but a much better start from Everton, much more intensity. It looks as though Barry's going to play on this right-hand side.
Brentford moving it fluidly again. Damsgaard fine turn on the edge of the box. His low ball in. Iribunum in the way of that. Damsgaard, who was the orchestrator in chief for Brentford in that first half, once again taking up a lovely position just on the edge of the penalty area. He originally beat Iribunum, but he recovered actually, the midfielder, but at the expense of a Brentford corner.
Yeah, he did well, and he's going to have to continue to do that for much of this half, because you'd imagine Damsgaard's going to want to continue to drift and find little pockets. It's not going to be straightforward to track him, but that's his job in that central area.
So Brentford corner, far side their right. It'll be an in-swinger with Janelt's left foot. It's a good one too, and it's headed in. Nathan Collins doubles Brentford's advantage. As simple as that. Janelt corner, Collins rises, heads into Jordan Pickford's net, and with 5 minutes of the second half played, Everton 0, Brentford 2.
And well, that's about as straightforward as it gets from set pieces. You know, the coaches themselves had a little gathering we can see down in front of us, and they'll be delighted, but it's a ball very simply delivered into that front area. Everton don't deal with it. They've no one, it looks like, in that space attacking it. Collins with the simplest of headers from just about a yard out. He's never going to miss from there, and now Everton have a huge uphill struggle.
His second goal of the season, and it's that sort of goal that he scores so often throughout his career. Great header. It's Tarkowski he beats in the air. The ball from Janelt was inch perfect, and Collins rises and in his celebration pointed straight at Janelt, and just like actually Janelt's first assist, it was a quality delivery. Thiago had Janelt to thank for his goal, and Collins has Janelt to thank for that header. No chance Pickford, and for all of Everton's bright start, as they did at the start of this game, they've conceded and now have to come from 2 goals down if they're to get anything from it.
Yeah, which will be difficult, and I said it doesn't get much simpler than the delivery in the front post header, but the delivery needs to be accurate, and that it was.
They're coming forward again. Brentford. Shada's inside the penalty area. Thiago takes over. Igor Thiago! It's 3! What a blistering start to this second half for Brentford. And in the blink of an eye, they've taken this game away from Everton. Igor Thiago gets his second of the game. Shada made it. Thiago finished it. Everton 0, Brentford 3.
Incredible stuff. And I think most of the fans here are stunned, a little like us. You know, it came from nowhere, but it's wonderful interchange. Shada in the end with a lovely timed run through. O'Brien does well, stays with him, but it's Thiago that's next up in line. He's in amongst it, just takes it off the toes of Shada. He'll say it's an intentional assist because he'll get the credit for it. And then a lovely little finish past Pickford inside, probably 7-8 yards from goal. A real sucker punch for Everton, because they started the second half very well, but now 2 goals in very quick succession. It's difficult to see how they come back from this. They certainly need to be the team that scores next.
Well, it's very close for offside is the first thing to say, so VAR are checking, and indeed on the big screens there is checking goal possible offside. Again, it came from Everton, sloppy in possession. Damsgaard initial ball in, Thiago is close. It's in old money, he looks level, but we know that's not how offside works these days, and semi-automated offside will need to be utilised. And in fact, it might be one of those, Rachel, that semi-automated offside says that's not one for us either because it's too close and the lines will need to be drawn. Either way, when it reached Shada, he did turn his man well, and you're right, I'm not sure he knew too much about it. Thiago's finish excellent, dinked with his left foot, beats the on-rushing Pickford. So as it stands, it's 3-0 Brentford, but we wait for this VAR call, and it's tight.
It is tight, and it really will be a lifeline for Everton if this doesn't stand, because just in these moments, these are the moments that are key. You know, there's times when Brentford have possession of their own half, and you can sort of accept that, although the fans don't particularly like it, you can accept that, but when you sort of enter into a certain area of the pitch, you've got to be competitive, you've got to read the game. And
goal given.
Yeah, in some ways, you know, if you're a football fan, you want that goal to be given because it's great play from Brentford, but Everton fans will be extremely disappointed. This half started with promise, very quickly all turned the other way.
Well, I'm not sure many saw this coming at the start of play. Everton 0, Brentford 3, 54 minutes. Everton are so loose. I can't remember watching a team that have been so haphazard with the ball in midfield. So many times passes have been underhit or overhit or just not in the direction they needed to be played, and Brentford are enjoying themselves here, and if Everton aren't careful, this could turn into a really damaging afternoon in front of their own.
Absolutely, and to think, you know, it's Brentford that have had less time to recover between games. This is a condensed period of games, yeah. And Everton do have a number of players missing. They have a smaller squad available, but I don't think that's an excuse for some of the poor play that we've seen.
And the issue that Everton have now in their eagerness to push forward, Brentford are certainly one of those sides that carry great threat on the counter-attack. Damsgaard offside here, far side the right, and with the score as it is, Brentford are, you would say, unless something dramatic happens, are winning their 3rd Premier League game away this season and taking their tally of 6 points won away to 9 points won away. Having beaten West Ham and Wolves, it looks like they're adding Everton to that list as well. And having beaten Wolves in their last away game, then got that good win at home to Bournemouth, winning 4-1, Shada hat-trick, the goalless draw at home to Tottenham, and now 3 up away at Everton. So this Brentford side really beginning to click, and this would be 5 games unbeaten. Still 35 minutes to play, so perhaps still, Rachel, a little too early to be writing a win in the Brentford column, but still, the way this game is going, it would take a massive change from both Brentford would have to drop off dramatically and Everton would have to improve dramatically.
Well, just that, because Brentford at the moment are controlling possession, which, yes, Everton may get an opportunity in the break or in transition, but when you're 3-0 up and you're controlling the game, you can really make sure you don't put yourself in those situations that add any sort of jeopardy to allow Everton to get themselves back in it.
The Hill Dickinson Stadium is a quiet place at the moment, and that is not a surprise given the scoreline. A minute between the two goals. Nathan Collins on 50, Thiago on 51, and that after Everton had created a half chance through Beto. Grealish taking on Coyote, far side the Everton left. Chops back onto his right foot. Everton fans wanted a cross. It comes in now. There are several players competing inside the Brentford box. Beto was one of them. Damsgaard shrugged off it by Iribunum. Now a chance for Ruel to cross with his right foot. Doesn't really hit that with any great conviction, and it was Janelt in the way of that. Ruel gets another opportunity on the edge of the Brentford penalty area. O'Brien will have to go backwards here, in fact goes square, picks a clever ball to Garner on the edge of the box. O'Brien continues his run, ignored initially but might be used now, and is. All at walking pace at the moment, Everton, but they're still with possession and still in a dangerous position until Ruel is shrugged to one side, and the early ball to Thiago. Pickford is herring out a goal, and he will get there. He will get there and plays it loosely though to Jensen, who thought he could score from way inside his own half on an angle, and he hit it first time. That would have been a unbelievable strike had he got that right. Absolutely,
and in the end it almost ended up a pretty good pass to Thiago, who had tried to beat Pickford in that race. A little ambitious, but I suppose when you're 3-0 up, those are the things you fancy your chances a little more.
And when you're 3 up, yeah, absolutely. Damsgaard dispossessed by Iribunum. Now there's a chance for Everton. The ball has to be played earlier, and he dillied and dallied and wasn't caught. Well, why the pass wasn't played to Tierno Barry earlier? There were 40,000 Evertonians screaming for that pass. At the other end, it's Thiago. He's not away from Tarkowski, who defends well, and he will utilise Pickford, who will clear downfield. And well, the ball from Iribunum to Barry seemed the obvious one to play. We'll get the expert view on that in a moment. In fact, we'll get it now because Brentford have slowed it right down, although now they accelerate with Damsgaard outside the penalty area. Coyote's ball. Jensen will keep this in play, will he? Yes, although can't do much with it, and Mikalenko will clear downfield. Rachel, it looked like, had that ball just been played earlier,
yeah, you just got to play it, and I don't know why he delayed. I think that's probably been an area where Everton just have been nowhere near as good as Brentford have. You know, how many times have we seen Damsgaard get it and on the half turn with one touch, the second touch is the pass, and that's just an example of when you delay, you allow players to get back, and in that instance it was Shada in the end who recovered well.
Yeah, and he did even get the free kick Iribunum that he craved. Middlesbrough 2, Southampton 0 in the Championship. Everton 0, Brentford 3 in the Premier League. And Brentford, who worked really hard for their 1-goal lead, it's fair to say haven't needed to work too hard for the 2 goals they've got in this second half. The corner, as Rachel described, as straightforward as it gets. Corner header, and the 3rd goal again coming from Everton's looseness with the ball. Here's a chance with O'Brien after an initial cross had been headed away. Iribunum centre of the Brentford half. You can hear the Everton fans, they're desperate to see their side create something that they can get behind. Grealish uses the overlapping Mikalenko, and his cross deflected by Jensen, blocked at source. Garner retrieves. Grealish again, away this time from Damsgaard. His low ball in. Grealish doesn't beat Yarmolyuk, and that's the other thing, Rachel. When Everton have got themselves in decent crossing positions, more often than not the cross hasn't been hit well enough. Garner thought about shooting. Ruel will shoot on the edge, but he needed too much time, and as he waited for the ball to come across him, it just allowed Collins to eat up the ground on him, and the ball ricochets off Collins and out of play for an Everton throw.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, when Everton have had the opportunity to deliver it, it's always been when Brentford have bodies back, and it's very difficult to score in those situations because Brentford, with their organisation, are very adept at dealing with those balls.
Just the one cross that I can remember, and that was right at the end of the first half when Grealish found Barry. Kelleher made a good save. Long throw that Everton will take once Anthony Taylor's dealt with some misdemeanours inside the penalty area. In fact, it's Kelleher we're waiting for, because he's doing his laces in the heart of the 6-yard box.
I feel like that's quite rare. Normally you get an outfield player, you just get the gloves off.
Yeah. Well, yes, that's normally exactly what happens.
I've had that job once or twice.
Yeah. Imagine when it's freezing as well, your hands don't work, and
it takes twice as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is not a problem if you're 2-0 up or 1-0 up with the last 10 minutes or something. VAR were looking at something here, but that's swiftly been cleared. I'm not too sure what it was, and that's why now we still aren't underway. Now we're ready. O'Brien has been hanging on to this for a good minute or so. In comes the long throw. It's loopy. It's not quite delivered with the same trajectory as the Coyote long throw for Brentford, and that was easily headed away. O'Brien can now cross. Refuses that invitation. Garner does cross. That's a good ball. Attacked by Tarkowski. Tipped over by Kelleher. Better. And that all came from a much better cross from deep. Garner delivered it, and Tarkowski was challenging with a couple of players, actually. It was Tarkowski's header, and Kelleher with a good save.
Yeah, great effort, and they just took their time until they found a moment to actually deliver, which was a smart thing to do. And in the end, it was a very dangerous ball. It was well saved by Kelleher.
Yeah, because the ball was so loopy, Tarkowski couldn't really generate any power from his header. Still a good tipped over save by Kelleher. And it's another Everton corner, and this is their best spell of the game in terms of pressure they are putting on Kelleher's goal. But at 0-3, you feel it's a little too late. More pushing and shoving inside the penalty area for Anthony Taylor to sort here. Nathan Collins is looking aggrieved. Here comes the corner, and it's deep, and too deep for everyone. In fact, Sharda was under no pressure at the back post, so he had time and space to control. Damsgaard is then clipped by Iribunam, or he was. Well, it's a good job Anthony Taylor gave that decision Brentford's way, because Iribunam was clean through, but one of those that was obvious enough. So Damsgaard was quite rightly fouled, and a free kick Brentford will have, and they lead 3-0 with 62 minutes played.
Yeah, and although it was unintentional, I think probably not the worst foul to give away, because Brentford potentially on the counter-attack there could have been dangerous.
Middlesbrough now 3 up at home to Southampton. They've had just like Brentford actually, they've had a really good spell in the second half. And in League One, Blackpool 1, Bradford City 2. No changes in the scorelines in the other Premier League games, so still Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. And Tottenham are 1-0 up at home to Sunderland. Fulham 1, Liverpool 0. That game about 14 minutes behind us. Changes for Brentford, and we will be seeing Jordan Henderson make his 450th Premier League appearance. Keane Lewis Potter coming on as well, so Kevin Sharda is being replaced, and Jordan Henderson is coming on for Matthias Jensen. So 2 like-for-like replacements you'd fancy. Lewis Potter can operate everywhere really, wing back, winger. And here comes the former Liverpool midfielder Jordan Henderson to come on in the heart of that Brentford midfield. And you'd say, Rachel, the boos, because of the score, are probably a little lacklustre, maybe not as vociferous as they might have been had the score been different. Yes,
and I'm sure Jordan Henderson almost is enjoying them for those same reasons.
Yeah. Not bad changes for Keith Andrews to have. The experience of Henderson and Lewis Potter, one of those players, Rachel, that strikes me as a manager's dream described as, because he can operate everywhere. I think I've seen him in his career operate right at the back. He can operate up front. He might bring a little more defensive solidity than Sharda. And in this position that Brentford find themselves in, that sort of player is good, and was on the ball fleetingly there, and uses Coyote via Damsgaard, and Brentford are back in their passing rhythm again.
Yeah, and they've been very impressive. I think the last time I saw Brentford live was literally the opening game of the season, and it was still a little unknown how they would play under Keith Andrews. I have to say the improvement has been remarkable and hugely impressive.
Throw to Brentford, edge of the Everton penalty area, or at least level with the edge of the Everton penalty area. Yeah, there was certainly eyebrows raised when Keith Andrews was appointed, but such is the Brentford model that quite often lots of things can change, either manager or player departures, but actually nothing does change because they get their appointments right. Throw is cleared and then volleyed by Janelt high and wide, and that will be an Everton goal kick. And given the names linked with Brentford, there would have been concern given, as you mentioned to Steve Crossman prior to the game, the players that they'd lost. Norgard to Arsenal, losing Johan Visser to Newcastle, Brian Mbuemo to Manchester United, taking all those goals out of the team. And yes, away from home they've not been great, although it looks like they're getting a good win here today. They are going to be winning their 9th Premier League game of the season. That's more than they've ever won at this stage, and they're looking up the table.
They absolutely are, and of course things can change, but where they're sitting, they're very much just in the cusp of those European spots.
Grealish, cross, Beto's header, in! And there is one back for Everton, made by Grealish, scored by Beto, one of the half-time changes. And with 25 minutes to play, Everton, whilst not right back in this game, have given themselves a chance. Everton 1, Brentford 3.
Yeah, it's Everton's chance this time to just do something that, as we said earlier, was the simple things very well. Grealish just uses right foot to cut inside, and he whips the ball to Beto in that front post area. He's a little further out, of course, probably somewhere between, well, in line with the penalty spot, you'd say, really, but that front post area just glances. It's a lovely header. There's pace on the delivery, so he just has to glance it into that far corner. Skips off the grass, which gives Kelleher absolutely no chance.
Really well directed header. It's another goal made by an excellent cross, this time from Grealish, and Beto's 3rd Premier League goal of the season. Can it be the catalyst for Everton? There is still plenty of time left in this game. Beto is charging after Kelleher here, who will clear with his left foot downfield. Thiago on halfway. Irabunum dispossesses him and then lunges into a challenge with Henderson. Garner challenges him, all a little bit chaotic in midfield again. Hickey challenged by Rule, but you can hear what the goal has done to the crowd, and you can see visibly what it's done to the Everton performance, because now they're crunching and flying into challenges. And with still only just midway through the second half, Rachel, there is still plenty of time.
There is, and just the noise inside the stadium, all of a sudden you can really hear the fans. That's the sort of thing that if in the next few minutes Everton can use that to just play in Brentford's half, try and create another half chance, there is very much enough time for them.
It's been a long time since Everton came from 3 goals down to take anything from. The last win after being 2 goals down was way back in May 2022, when they were 2 down to Crystal Palace and won 3-2. 3 down at home to Brentford. It would be some story if they were to win this game. They'll take a point right now, no question. 23 minutes to play. Grealish on the ball again, far side the left, slowing it down. Irabunum in midfield gives the ball away. Garner tries to win it back, crunching into a challenge. Thiago on halfway, lovely little touch around the corner, and Damsgaard can accelerate into plenty of green grass. Right hand side of the penalty area, low ball in, lovely touch, Lewis Potter. Thiago for the hat-trick, deflected into the hands of Pickford. Whoa, well, that for a moment looked like that was going the other way and Pickford would be beaten, but luckily for him, straight into his hands.
Yeah, Thiago just didn't catch it, but what a wonderful little touch from Lewis Potter, cushioned into Thiago's path.
Oh, that's a short header, Rule nearly in front of Kelleher, who just about got there in time. Yeah, lovely Lewis Potter touch. He would have been tempted, I think, to control and shoot himself, but Thiago was better positioned, and had that deflection taken it beyond Pickford, then Brentford would have had their 3-goal lead restored. It might be here. It's another great ball looking for Lewis Potter, and it is O'Brien in front of Lewis Potter, but he's close to his corner flag. Pickford wanted the ball. Thiago closes down that avenue, and O'Brien will have to deal with this himself, and he does so by playing it against Lewis Potter, and Everton have a throw very close to their corner flag.
Yeah, I'm not sure why O'Brien just didn't give it to Pickford sooner. He sort of delayed, and then that meant that Thiago cut that off.
And O'Brien looking to eat up a few more yards than he's entitled to. Brentford looking to box Everton in this congested area of the field. Everton 1, Brentford 3. 20 minutes to play on 5 Sports Extra 2. It's been a really good game, actually, considering that there were lots of pre-match predictions that this might not be full of goals, but we've seen 4 of them, and we still yet might see more.
I think you could say 4 good goals as well. I feel like it's been a very good game.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 very accomplished finishes. O'Brien with this throw. Collins heads away. Back into Everton territory it goes. Tarkowski and Thiago battling. Keane steps in. Garner now uses his body to turn away from Damsgaard. Another early ball forward. Barry was the intended target. Coyote had the presence of mind to step in and then gives it away. Oh, potentially dangerously. Grealish just couldn't sort his feet out. Had he done so, there was a clear path to goal. Irabunum to Grealish again. Coyote now back in position. Grealish in field. Now Garner. Suddenly Everton are finding these pockets of space that Brentford found so freely in the first half. Everton now doing the same in the second. Grealish, 3 to beat, but that means there's space for Garner to cross onto his left foot. No delivery yet, waiting for the opportune moment. Will it come now with Mikalenko? Everton rather backing themselves into a corner here. Grealish, stationary. Mikalenko offers the run. Stationary still is Grealish. Now Garner. Surely the cross comes now. It does. It's another good one. Roll. Not too far away from it. And had he been a couple of yards further forward, similar to Igor Thiago's first, he may well have been tapping in. Brentford suddenly now can't escape. Grealish has it right back again. This is an excellent spell for Everton. Grealish, oh, that's well defended, Coyote. Used his strength. However, Grealish then wins the ball back off Coyote, plays it against the Brentford right back, and Everton have a corner and are enjoying their best spell of the game.
Yeah, I'm very, very surprised that wasn't given as a free kick. So often we see that Coyote there just trying to guide the ball out with his body and coming together with Grealish. So often that is given as a foul. Referee deciding not today. Just see there, Grealish with 2 hands in his back.
Yeah.
I think that's very unfortunate from Brentford's perspective.
Yeah, I think Keith Andrews and co will be mightily unhappy if this corner is to result in Everton's second goal. Here comes the delivery. In it goes. Ruhl rises, well headed away. Drops on the edge of the penalty area for Irabunum, who's going the long way around Damsgaard, who is shepherding him out towards the corner flag, and Damsgaard wins the throw off Irabunum. Well defended, and Brentford will have this throw and a chance just to calm things down, because there's no doubt Everton are having a spell here.
Yeah, they are, and the momentum from the crowd is absolutely a contributing factor to that. The goal from Beto has lifted them, and you can just feel the energy. Brentford just doing their best to diffuse that.
And referee Anthony Taylor wants a word with Aaron Hickey, and I presume this word will be stop wasting time. And if you waste more time, then a yellow card is coming. Florian Wirtz has equalised for Liverpool. Fulham 1, Liverpool 1 over on 5 Live. Aaron Hickey now using this opportunity to pull up his socks. And you can hear what the Everton fans think of this. But you can understand from Brentford's perspective why they might be opting for this tactic, because they're on the back foot at the moment, still with a 2-goal advantage. But Everton have got themselves right back into this game. Foul by Barry on Janelt. And Barry picks Janelt up, and Brentford will have this free kick. Important for Brentford, Rachel, from their perspective, that they see out this next 7 or 8 minutes. If they can get to minute 80 still with that 2-goal lead intact, then they might start thinking we've broken the back of this, because at 0-3 it felt like they had, but now at 1-3 it just feels precarious again.
It does, and the game has become very open, and when you're the team with the lead, that is not always an advantage.
Janelt to Thiago, who looked offside, but play on, says the referee. No flag yet. Henderson to Lewis Potter. Good run. His ball in was behind Thiago. A diving, and then the flag goes up. And that looked, I mean, I know why they do it, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating.
Yeah, they looked to us that it was off, but I suppose it is the right thing in that situation, just to be sure.
Middlesbrough now 4-0 up. A good afternoon for Middlesbrough, threatening the top of the Championship. Now 4-0 up at home to Southampton. Blackburn from 2-0 down and now level at 2-2 with Charlton. And in League One, Plymouth 3, Burton Albion 0. Everton 1, Brentford 3 is the scoreline here. And Brentford are doing a pretty good job of just disrupting the Everton momentum here, because they've won a series of free kicks, and Hickey is the latest to win a free kick. He was climbed on by Beto, and he used that opportunity to hit the deck and free kick to Brentford. And unsurprisingly, we're in that time of the game where every chance they have, Brentford, they're just taking their time.
Yeah, although sometimes when I feel, teams do that, it naturally sends a message to say that you're starting to feel the pressure of that the other team maybe have the ascendancy. And I felt Brentford very much were dominating the game by the ball being in play. And so sometimes just to have this very 180 switch to sort of slowing the game down, balls out for throw-ins all the time. I feel like Brentford were controlling this game by using the ball.
Well, they're making a change. Rico Henry is coming on for Aaron Hickey, so that is very much a like-for-like replacement at left-back. Newcastle have doubled their lead. They were one up through Bruno Guimaraes against Palace, and now Malik Thiaw, the centre-half, has made sure of that advantage by scoring at St James's Park. Newcastle 2, Crystal Palace 0. Sports Extra 3 via BBC Sounds is the place to listen to the conclusion of that. And Sunderland have equalised against Tottenham. Brian Brobby has scored at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham 1, Sunderland 1. Thiago very nearly found again, but Brentford pick up the loose ball in midfield. The ball forward by Damsgaard, not one of his better ones. Lewis Potter in the way of O'Brien's clearance. He'll get another chance to clear, and he again gives it away. Damsgaard to Lewis Potter, running across the penalty area. His ball looking for Thiago, hit with a little too much pace, and Everton will have this goal kick.
Yeah, poor ball. You see him, he just gets it the edge of the box. You can see Thiago's peeled away to the back post. Just doesn't connect right. Well over hit.
Timo Rebunam is coming off, and Harrison Armstrong is coming on, who has been recalled from his loan spell at Preston, where he was very much impressing. You can listen and hear the reception that he's getting. He had a good loan spell at Derby last season. He's a player that is very highly regarded here at Everton. David Moyes saying that actually he'd much prefer him to stay out with Preston, but needs must. They need bodies. So he's been recalled, and you sense maybe once Everton get a few more bodies back, once Dewsbury Hall returns from injury, once Iliman Ndiaye and Idrissa Gueye are back from AFCON, that he may well return to Preston. But for now he's got a job to do for Everton, who trail Brentford by 3-1, and he has 12 minutes to make an impact. Outside of the boot, ball from him to Garner, who keeps the move going from right to left. Nikolenko, Grealish, running at Coyote, on the edge of the box, onto his left foot, crosses deep to the back post. O'Brien back into the danger area. Ruhl ready to unleash, but was denied the opportunity by Janelt. Armstrong, Garner, Tarkowski and Armstrong again. Inside the Brentford half, right-hand side. Armstrong challenged by Damsgaard. No one knows who that came off last. And the assistant referee points in Brentford's favour, and they have a throw.
That was a toss of a coin, that one.
You always know when the referee looks at the assistant who doesn't do anything, and it's down to the poor referee to make a decision. And the referee makes a decision, and then the assistant referee puts his flag in. That is almost as if that's what I was going to say that anyway. Match of the day tonight with Gabby Logan, 10:30 BBC One for all of today's goals. One more Premier League game to come, and it's at 5:30. Izzy Christiansen alongside John Murray at the Etihad for Manchester City against Chelsea, and that is over on 5 Live before a busy weekend of FA Cup football kicks off with Wrexham Nottingham Forest live on 5 Live from Stock Kairas. That's a 8 o'clock kickoff in North Wales. Tarkowski doesn't foul Thiago, who is on the floor clutching his head. Now he's picking himself up, so the referee is loath to stop the game here. And now Thiago and Tarkowski, we wondered whether they shared polite words in the first half. There's nothing polite about this exchange. Thiago is not happy with Tarkowski. Yeah,
that is certainly not a friendly conversation, and I think the two of them have been at it for most of the game. Thiago has made it very difficult for both centre-halves for Everton. He puts himself about, he's very good physically, he's good in the air. Even balls he doesn't win, the ball's knocked down, and Damsgaard's on the second phase of that. So it's been a tough night. I think there's somewhat of a handshake there. I think they both acknowledge that they quite enjoy this type of battle, I think, anyway.
Yep, two heavyweights, and it did end somewhat politely with a little hand slap. I'm not sure we've seen the last of that. Still 10 minutes to play, and still Brentford with this 2-goal advantage. Everton though have a throw. No, they don't have a throw. Well, that looked like it came off the head of Rico Henry, and all the Evertonians inside this stadium thought so, but the assistant referee not only pointed in Brentford's favour, he then wagged his finger, and now he's pointing to where Brentford should be taking the throw. You don't often see assistant referees gesticulate like that. I rather like that.
Yeah, well, they certainly get a hard time, so
yeah, absolutely.
Every so often they can have make their point. Yeah, I think he did get that one wrong though, but you can assume he's just not seen the touch.
Yeah. Well, Everton now feel that no decision is going their way as Keane challenges, but he had the presence of mind to play the ball back to Pickford, so no harm done. Here's Damsgaard in midfield for Brentford. Beto charging after Henry, who has to release very quickly. Stoke 2 up away at Norwich in the Championship. Norwich 0, Stoke 2. Looks like another good win for Mark Robins' Stoke, who just coming out of a really poor run of form. Armstrong for Everton. Square ball. Tarkowski is inside the Brentford half. In fact, every single outfield player inside the Brentford half. Rather hopeful cross that was easily headed away. Thiago and Yarmolyuk combine. Henderson beaten to it by Mikolenko. And now Grealish is on that far side. The two former England colleagues. Grealish in field. Beto as the rain starts to fall. Beto goes for goal from a long way out. And that is a long way over the bar. And it remains with 81 minutes played. Everton 1, Brentford 3.
David Moyes there, he was up at the edge of his area as you would expect him to be, and as Beto's turned and taking that shot from the best part of 30 yards, which is asking a lot for a striker who probably isn't renowned for scoring as many goals as many would like him to. David Moyes wasn't too happy with that one.
No.
And yeah, fairly wasteful.
Yeah, it would take something very special from that sort of range. Rain, I say rain, it's probably sleety rain in this temperature, very steadily falling from now a very dark Merseyside sky overhead. Brentford with Lewis Potter, not sure he meant that trick, but it went his way, and now he's making progress towards the edge of the penalty area. Henderson in the centre of midfield with a ball to the back post that Lewis Potter Damsgaard will chase and not keep in play.
Ooh, I think that's close.
Yeah.
I think he's maybe kept that in, and that's very unlucky. The way the ball was bouncing looked like it was just going to give him an extra half second.
Yeah, agree, and he turns to the referee, who didn't give the decision. It was the assistant on that far side that flagged. But Everton have the ball. Pickford towards the edge of the penalty area. You fancy more and more of those balls will be played with both Barry and Beto on the field, as they have been on the field for all of the second half coming on at half-time. The precipitation, whatever it is, rain or snow, it's definitely not snow, sleet is falling harder now. You might just be able to pick it up crashing into the Hill Dickinson Stadium roof. That's not a ball that will be collected by Beto, hit with too much pace. Kelleher comes sliding out of goal and will release quickly to Henderson. I fancied Kelleher might waste a little bit of time there, but Henderson was in space and receives the ball. 7 minutes for Brentford to see this out. They still have that 2-goal advantage. Poor ball from Lewis Potter, that is picked up by Everton on this near side, the left, still a long way out from goal. Harrison Armstrong, clever ball into the penalty area. It's Garner, angle acute, Janelt in the way, but Everton have another corner with 6.5 minutes to play.
Yeah, Brentford just causing their own problems there. A little ball around the corner there from Lewis Potter, easily cut out. There was just, he could have set Rico Henry inside. Took a gamble, didn't pay off.
If Everton can get one here, we're in for a very interesting 10 minutes or so when you factor in stoppage time. Corner punched away by Kelleher, good punch as well. Grealish shrugs Damsgaard legally to the floor. Infield it goes to Armstrong, 30 yards out, keeps the move going to Garner on the right. Garner's ball in, too close to Kelleher, who opts to punch. He was actually under pressure from his own man, and the give and go is on. Lovely ball from Yarmolyuk. Damsgaard has done so much running in this game that the petrol tank is nearly empty, and he didn't quite have the legs for that.
Yeah, you can see he looks tired. I wonder if he will finish the game. That said, it was young Armstrong who he was in a race with, who certainly looks like he has plenty of energy, looks a good player, been tidy so far on the ball.
Reading look like they've won, got a late winner against Stockport in League One. Reading 1, Stockport County 0. Everton attack again. Another long ball headed away. Rico Henry challenged well by Beto. He gets the wrong side of his man. Now needs support. Ruhl has it. Right hand edge of the box. His ball in. Headed goalwards by Keane. but a difficult one to control. He was in front of the goal, so he had to balance direction and power, and in the end got too much power, sent it wide. It remains Everton 1, Brentford 3, 5 minutes to play, and Nathan Collins has cramp. Or does he? Whatever, he's taking a bit of time out of the game. He's up on his feet now, and we'll see more and more of this from Brentford as we enter the latter stages of this Premier League game.
Yeah, just at this point, well past the 80th minute mark that you said they'd like to get to with the same scoreline. I don't know there'll be that many added minutes.
No.
There's been a few subs, that's been about it. A couple of VAR checks, I suppose, but time is running out slowly for Everton.
Yeah, you'd say it would be in the realms of 4s and 5s rather than 7 or 8s, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
There was a time, once upon a time, that 4 minutes felt like quite a lengthy amount of stoppage time, but nowadays it's not.
Well, that's modest, yeah.
Yeah.
And Everton, they haven't really managed much of a chance since that goal that they did get, and that's probably quite disappointing. I feel like Beto has made a difference, but sort of his good moments haven't been consistent enough. Brentford just doing enough.
Scored with a lovely header, Beto, from Grealish's cross, but you're right, had that spell after the goal where they were beginning to look more threatening, but hard pressed to remember a real opportunity that Kelleher has had to save. Everton with the long diagonal to Mikalenko on that far side, the left, infield, but that little move infield was read, and really well read, on that far side, the right. And Brentford have it back with Kelleher, and they know if they keep sensible, tidy possession that they will be winning this game. Armstrong in midfield is clipped by Henderson. No free kick, says the referee, or at least didn't give the free kick because Everton still have the ball. It's Garner on that far side, and now Grealish to accelerate at Coyote again. Doubling up on Grealish now are Brentford. The ball into the penalty area, deflecting off some form of Coyote's anatomy, but certainly wasn't the hand. And Brentford have this free kick inside their own penalty area. In fact, it wasn't given as a free kick because Kelleher had the ball. More and more empty seats beginning to appear at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Many fans don't feel that Everton have it in them to go again. If the deficit was 1, they'd stay, I'm sure, but 2 feels a little bit too much unless they can get one here. Rules low ball in. Here's a chance. Beto spins, shoots, well blocked by Collins, who goes back across to Beto, who keeps the ball in play and keeps Everton with the ball. O'Brien to Ruhl, left-footed cross. No, that's not a good cross with his weaker foot. And now there's a chance for Thiago. He's clean through. It's Igor Thiago against Jordan Pickford. This to win the game. This for the hat-trick. Thiago lifts it nonchalantly into the corner. Igor Thiago with the hat-trick. Brentford with the win. That'll be the game for sure. And Brentford, who have been looking for away consistency, will be winning this game. Igor Thiago, the coolest man on the pitch. It's his hat-trick, and it's Everton 1, Brentford 4.
Yeah, it's an incredibly cool finish from someone that's very much on form. He'll be delighted. A hat-trick in the Premier League is a special milestone for anybody. And today, he's taken his chances very well. That one, another example of just the confidence he has. He's clean through on goal, just very coolly clips the ball with his right foot, and it just sort of slowly bounces and bobbles into that far corner. Pickford does what he can, but in that situation, the forward is always favourite. He comes at it just slightly on the right hand side of the pitch, which just gives him that nice angle to have more of the goal available. Pickford tries to stand up. Coolest finish. That should be the game.
It's a wonderful finish from a man who is enjoying an excellent season. Lovely dink into the corner. That's now his 14th Premier League goal of the season. And sometimes in that position, Rachel, you often hear centre forwards say, well, when you've got a little too much time to think about it, it can make the finish a little harder. Some strikers thrive on instinctive finishes, but he made that look so simple. Waited for Pickford, dinked it over him. 4-1 Brentford, and he has a hat-trick, and he will remember this day for a long time to come.
Very, very cool finish. And to be fair, I know that Everton are pushing to try and we're trying to push to make it just a 1-goal margin. I feel in that scenario, I think it's a poor ball from Ruhl. Just opens up the whole pitch, and I don't think Everton should have left themselves in that sort of situation. It wasn't really last gasp, just maybe switched off. Thiago just peeled off the far shoulder, found himself in plenty room.
Well, the Hill Dickinson Stadium, which was emptying slowly prior to that goal, is now emptying rapidly. 4 minutes indeed have been added on at the end of this game, and 4 is the number of goals Brentford have scored this afternoon. Everton 1, Brentford 4, and they're racking up the goals, aren't they? Here's Grealish inside the penalty area, onto his right foot, dink to the back post, here's a chance, and there's a goal. And Tierno Barry has won back for Everton. It's all a little bit too late. Grealish with another assist, a lovely ball to the back post, and Barry with a relatively simple task of heading in almost on the goal line. So 1 back for Everton, met with very muted applause. But now Beto and Barry are on the score sheet. Everton 2, Brentford 4.
Yeah, and that might just be a consolation for Everton today. Both their strikers finally both being on the pitch at the same time. A goal apiece. Lovely ball again by Jack Grealish. Great feet to just work enough room. He's 2v1 again, this time on the right hand side, which we don't see him too often. And just a beautifully dinked ball to the far post. Really, really difficult to defend. A dream for the strikers. Barry with a good header.
Igor Thiago is going to get his moment in the sun because he's being replaced. He turns to the Brentford fans in the corner, who give him a loud cheer as he walks off. He applauds them back. Miles Peart-Harris, the youngster, is coming on for Brentford to play the final 3 minutes of this game. It's his first Premier League minutes for Brentford, and he'll be part of a very convincing win. Maybe less convincing now with the 2-goal margin. And on the balance of play, Rachel, you certainly wouldn't say that Brentford have not deserved to win this game. Second half Everton have been better, so maybe the 2-goal winning margin feels slightly more on balance to the game we've seen.
Yeah, I think when Everton got their first goal, Brentford probably showed signs of a team that haven't had too much success on the road. You felt they were impacted by the crowd's momentum shift, but I feel for the best part of an hour they were excellent.
Everton wanted a penalty. They thought it was handball against Collins, who's being shoved by Grealish. Referee's given this Brentford's favour, by the way, so I think there was a push in there that meant Aya handled it, and then Grealish said something and Aya's shoved him back, and much ado about nothing there as we enter the last 90 seconds of this game. More blue seats than people in them we can see. Apart from the Brentford end, there's a pocket of red in the lower tier in the corner here of the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And for Brentford, who have struggled so much on the road, they beat Wolves in their last away game, and they are winning this game comfortably by scoring another 4 goals. And the Premier League table will look good for them, and they're up to 7th as things stand, leapfrogging Sunderland and Newcastle, Brighton, Fulham, who are level at 1-1 still with Liverpool. Everton dropping to 12, all very tight in the mid-table as it always is, but Brentford now just a point behind Manchester United in 5th, and just 4 points behind Liverpool in 4th, with Liverpool currently drawing. It's finished at Newcastle 2-0 to Newcastle over Palace. It's finished at Tottenham 1, Sunderland 1, and it will be finishing here with a Brentford win with 30 seconds of normal time to play. And you do wonder, Rachel, what this means for Brentford now moving forward. They are in a very good form, 5 unbeaten. The one question mark was their away form, but with a good win over Wolves, which many would say, yeah, but it was only Wolves. A good win at Everton by this scoreline. I'm sure now many will be taking up and looking at Brentford and thinking they've got a chance of pushing up that table.
Yeah, they do. And I think one thing to watch, though, is you know how tight it is in that middle pack, and they probably need to make sure they don't get ahead of themselves. A lot of the good performances have been built on steady progression, good play, controlling games with an intensity and a passing style that's today certainly been very effective. But the better they do, teams will certainly be watching them more closely, and that runs its own risk. They won't get away with it unless they continue to improve.
That is the full-time whistle, and in a moment to sum up all of Everton, Jordan Pickford came herring out of his goal to clear, and he cleared it straight into the midriff of Michael Keane. And that rather sums up Everton's afternoon. Brentford have won, and they've won convincingly in the end. They were unquestionably the better team throughout the 90. They scored some excellent goals. Igor Thiago will take the headlines. He'll also take home the match ball. His hat-trick, the catalyst for Brentford's victory this afternoon. Everton were off it. They were sloppy in the first half. Were fortunate to only be 1 goal down. And then a blistering 2-minute spell just after half-time really took the game away from Everton, with Brentford going into a 3-goal lead. Beto's goal gave Everton hope at 3-1. They did give it a go, but didn't really create anything of note. Thiago then completed his hat-trick for 4-1, and then Barry with a consolation right at the death for 4-2. But there's no doubt this is Brentford's afternoon. They're up to 7th in the Premier League table. It's their 3rd win away from home.